Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the new Oris Aquis date Calibre 400 41.5. This watch is available from oris.ch for 3,200 Swiss francs, which equates to €3,000. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specification of the piece. So just to clarify, this is the press release sample watch box. If you buy the watch from Oris, you will receive the retail version of the watch box, but I thought I would show it to you anyway. The watch box comes protected in a grey cardboard sleeve, which one removes, and this is the press sample watch box itself. It has a lid, and inside the watch sits on a foam cutout panel, as one would expect. So if you buy the watch from Oris, you'll receive the full watch box with the owner's instruction manual, warranty card and other accessories. So with regards to the watch itself, this is the new 2021 version of the Aquis date Calibre 400. As you'll know from my previous reviews, I have previously reviewed the 43.5mm version of the Aquis date Calibre 400. And during that review, one thing I wanted to see Oris do was produce a smaller case version. And I'm pleased to report they have now done that with this 41.5mm version of the Aquis date Calibre 400. The proportions of this 41.5mm version are better done. So 41.5mm case diameter, it has a 47.9mm lug-to-lug measurement, the thickness is 13.3mm, and it has an integrated lug with a widest point of 23mm. The bracelet tapers from 23mm at the integrated lugs down to the 2-button push clasp. The clasp is signed with Oris, which is beautifully engraved, and the crown, bezel, case and bracelet throughout are all 316L grade stainless steel. Beautiful luster to the 316L grade stainless steel, brushed satin finish to the centre links, which contrast beautifully with the mirror polished outer links. The flanks of the bracelet are brushed satin finish, which give the watch a tall watch aesthetic. The 2-button push clasp is finished to perfection, beautiful luster to it, brushed satin finish to the top side, underside and flanks. Now one minor criticism is the use of 3 micro adjustment holes. Personally, I would like to see Oris improve upon this and either have 5 or 4 micro adjustment holes for fine tuning the bracelet length to perfection. With regards to the rest of the specification, it has a gear cut profile to the teeth of the solid stainless steel bezel, which is mirror polished to a high standard. The bezel insert is made from ceramic and it has a lume pip on the triangle at 12 o'clock, as one would expect. The ceramic bezel insert is glossy and it is finished to perfection with large Arabic numerals, and the first 15 minutes are indexed with ticks. So let's test the bezel action. Good firm resistance to the 120 click unidirectional bezel. The resistance feels firm and crisp all the way through the 360 degrees of rotation. It feels very similar to a Steinhardt Ocean 1 bezel action, if you're familiar with that. Nice firm resistance. No lateral side-to-side play whatsoever, no back play whatsoever, so it is a very well executed bezel. So let's test the alignment and we'll see whether the triangle aligns correctly at the 12 o'clock index on the dial. Yes, perfect alignment. I'm pleased to report that the lume pip and triangle on the ceramic bezel insert align perfectly with the 12 o'clock index on the dial. So the Aquis date Calibre 400 41.5 is available in 3 dial colour options, blue, black and green respectively. Of those 3 options, this blue sunburst dial is my personal favourite. I absolutely love the way the blue sunburst dial changes colour in the light. In low light conditions it changes to a navy blue colour dial, but in direct light it changes to an electric blue, and I really like that characteristic of the sunburst dial changing colour depending on the light level. Silver applied indices have perfect symmetry, excellent legibility, and I like the fact they've cited the date complication at 6, which retains the symmetry of the applied indices. The silver hands are finished to a high standard and they do complement the applied indices. One thing I like about the Aquis Calibre 400 date is that it isn't over-branded with unnecessary text or specification. It simply says Oris at 12 o'clock, Aquis 30 bars / 300 meters, and then 5 days at the 6 o'clock position. Just the right amount of information. The dial isn't too busy, it's not cluttered with unnecessary specification. It's a nice, clean, clearly legible dial. With regards to the sapphire crystal, it's one of my favourite aspects. It's got a lovely dome to it. It's double domed, so therefore there's no distortion one gets with a single dome sapphire crystal. It's curved on both the underside and the top side, and it has clear AR coating on the underside, which is highly effective. The anti-reflective coating does a good job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the applied indices and the silver hands. Screw down crown, which is knurled finish, signed with the Oris brand logo, and it's finished to a high standard. I like the knurled finish, it feels very grippy. So let's test the crown action, which provides an effective hermetic seal to 300 meters of water resistance. In the first position, it's in the manual wind position, and one can top up the power reserve to its maximum 120 hours or 5 days. So very impressive power reserve, 120 hours. It feels silky smooth to manually wind, and one can feel the tension gradually building up in the mainspring as one winds it to its absolute maximum of 5 days or 120 hours. So in the first click position, that is the quick set date complication. And as you can see, looking closely at the date complication, the quick set complication works as one would expect. Pulling it out to the final position is the time setting position. Now, Oris has received a lot of criticism regarding the Calibre 400. A lot of collectors have reported a fault with the Calibre 400, and I want to address this specifically in this review. I want to investigate this. Does the Calibre 400 have a fault, yes or no? So, for example, I'm going to set the time at 10 minutes past 10. Now, let's look at this jumping minute hand and we'll see, does it have a fault? Right, so if you look closely at the minute hand, it's now ready for 10 minutes 10. So when I push back in the crown, as you can see, the minute hand jumps. It's now at 11 minutes past 10. Now, I want to clarify something. There is a correct method for setting the time on the Oris Calibre 400, which I'm going to demonstrate. And then you'll see that if you use the correct time setting method, the minute hand does not jump when you hack the movement and press the crown back in. So let's repeat the process. I'm going to set the time at 10 minutes past 10. Now what you do to use the correct method is you advance the minute hand past where you want to set it. So we want to set 10 past 10. So I go past 10 minutes and then I reverse it back to 10 minutes. So I go past 10 and then I reverse it back. And then when I press it in, you'll see that it doesn't jump. So if you use the correct method, there is no fault whatsoever with the Calibre 400. So I'll just do it again to prove it. I'm going to rotate the minute hand past 10 past 10 and then go back to 10 past 10. So I'm now ready to push it back in and restart the movement. And as you can see, the minute hand doesn't jump. Now, if I use the incorrect method, which I'll demonstrate to you, if I just simply rotate it to 10 past 10 and press it back in, it jumps every time. And this is the faults that collectors are reporting. They are using the normal method to set the time, and of course every time they push the crown back in, the minute hand is jumping, and therefore they're saying the Calibre 400 has a fault, but it doesn't if you use the correct method. So just to prove it one last time, I want to set the time at 10 past 10, so I go past the 10-minute mark, back up to the 10-minute mark, press it back in, and the minute hand doesn't jump. So if you use the correct method, the Calibre 400 doesn't have a jumping minute hand fault. So I thought it was worth investigating and demonstrating that to you on camera, because it's often something that Oris receive criticism for, which I feel is unfair. Right, so let's look at the black dial version and I'll talk you through the movement. Screw down exhibition case back, which is glazed with sapphire crystal, finished to a high standard, concentric brush satin finishing to the 316 Earl grade stainless steel. Absolute pleasure to look at the Calibre 400 movement with its skeletonized rotor, which is signed with the Oris brand emblem. One feature I like about the Aquis Date Calibre 400 is the quick release spring bars. Oris calls this the quick strap change system, and as you can see there is a quick release lever, so you can unhitch the end link from the integrated lugs for changing the bracelet for a strap very quickly and easily. One doesn't need a spring bar tool, so that's very innovative and it works very well. The 2-button push clasp is very well executed, good firm resistance to the 2 triggers. Solid milled stainless steel interior, brush satin finish to the top side, underside and flanks, and beautifully engraved. Now, the clasp has a diver's extension link, as you can see, which is now deployed. Solid milled stainless steel, finished to a good standard, good positive click in and out. and it works very well. So really the only change I would like to see is Oris use 4 or 5 micro adjustment holes in the clasp rather than only 3, because that would mean a collector can resize the bracelet easier. Now with regards to the bracelet, I like the taper down to the clasp. They've got the proportions just right, but another thing I like about this bracelet is they have slimmed down the thickness of the links from the 43.5mm version. The slimmer bracelet means it's more comfortable, and it has also significantly reduced the heft of the piece. If you look at the lugs, the lug end of the bracelet, the links are thick in profile and they gradually taper down in thickness down to the 2-button push clasp. So it tapers in width and it also tapers in thickness, and the cumulative effect of that is the bracelet feels more comfortable on wrist. So the heft has been reduced from the 43.5mm, it no longer feels top heavy. It is 154 grams, and as you'll know from my previous reviews, I consider circa 150 grams on a 40 or 41mm dive piece to be the sweet spot for comfort, but also to get a feeling of heft on the wrist which is comfortable and feels quality. So I'll give you a wrist shot of the black dial version and you can see how it looks. So the black sunburst style changes from anthracite, a very dark grey colour, to jet black depending on the light colour conditions. As you can see, in low light conditions it looks jet black, but in direct light it changes to an anthracite metallic grey finish. So it's a very interesting dial, and the black sunburst dial does complement the glossy finish to the ceramic. So personally I prefer the blue sunburst style version, but some collectors prefer a more monochrome look to their watches, and they will like the black sunburst style with a black ceramic bezel. Very aesthetically pleasing piece. The feel good factor, the comfort is all outstanding, and because of the 47.9mm lug to lug measurement, it is very close to 48mm, which I consider to be perfection. So very comfortable. So let's do a loom test and we'll see how the loom performs when it's charged up to its absolute maximum. Now I've got very high expectations because previously I've reviewed Oris pieces and the loom has been 10 out of 10. So I'm confident that this won't disappoint. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to its absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see it has not disappointed. This is top grade Superluminova. It looks like Swiss BGW9 Superluminova. It's got a characteristic blue tone, it's glowing incredibly brightly, and it's also continuing to glow for a good length of time. Really, it's equal in quality to Swiss BGW9 or alternatively Rolex Chromalites. There is no difference whatsoever. The quality of the Superluminova used by Oris really is top grade Swiss Superluminova. It's the very best. As you can see, the symmetry of the dial gives excellent legibility, good loom plots on the hour and minute hand, and one can also see the second hand sweeping around the dial because it has a loom dot. Also, the triangle on the ceramic bezel insert has a large loom pip which is glowing very brightly, so the legibility is outstanding and it's very pleasing. Right, so let's discuss the movement, which is the main attribute of this piece. The Aquis Date Calibre 400 is powered by the Calibre 400, which has highly anti-magnetic properties. It has 21 joules and it runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. The skeletonized rotor is nice to look at and it's signed with the Oris brand emblem, as I've discussed. It's an undecorated movement. There is no decoration to the bridges, no blued screws, but however it is a technically excellent movement. Highly anti-magnetic, 120 hour power reserve which equates to 5 days. It has hand winding and hacking, and very impressive is the 10-year service interval, and also it's covered by a 10-year warranty, which is very reassuring. With regards to the accuracy, it has a stated accuracy of +5 to -3 seconds per day. So not only does it have a 120-day power reserve, which is incredibly impressive, it also has an incredibly good accuracy. +5 to -3 is actually within COSC chronometer limits of -4 to +6. So although this isn't COSC certified as a chronometer, it is well within COSC chronometer limits. So 120 hours power reserve +5 to -3 really is outstanding, and also a 10-year service interval. So it's a technically excellent movement. There are no negatives to it whatsoever, and as I've demonstrated, The criticism of the jumping minute hand really is unfair. If one uses the correct method, one can hack the movement and restart it without the minute hand jumping if the correct method is used. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet two criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So the price point of this watch is 3,200 Swiss francs, which equates to €3,000. Yes, I consider it to be excellent quality, and yes, I consider it to be excellent value. This watch is absolutely loaded in specification for €3,000. Sapphire crystal with AR coating, 120-day power reserve, and the accuracy is within cost chronometer limits. It's +5 to -3 seconds, which is outstanding. 300 meters water resistance, ceramic bezel insert, and everything about it is just done to perfection. The quality of the finishing, the quality control, and the build quality is 10 out of 10. Really, the only minor criticism is the 3 micro adjustment holes. I would like to see 4 or 5, but this is a minor criticism. Everything else about this watch is done to perfection, and it is a far better version of the Aquis Date Calibre 400 than the earlier 43.5mm. Oris really have got the proportions better. The other thing they've done, which is very important, is they have reduced the heft of the piece, because the 43.5mm version was a very top heavy piece and it had too much heft. This is only 154 grams, and that is with all the links in the bracelet. Obviously, if you have a smaller wrist and you remove several of the links, that is going to reduce it further. Also, you have the option of wearing it on a rubber strap, which will be significantly less than 154 grams. So it's a comfortable piece to wear, and it's also very aesthetically pleasing, as well as being technically excellent. I'm going to highly recommend this piece to you for your consideration. I think this watch is outstanding. It is the greatest Oris watch they have ever made. I absolutely love it. So I hope you've liked my review of the Oris Aquis Date Calibre 400 41.5. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.